I'm gonna be honest. It's the first time I really think about what the audience would get out of it. It was, from my perspective, more like an audio-biographic concept in the way that this period, these difficult times, these 2 years, has made me feel. A time where you always struggle in a way to remain creative, but still have I don't know, to still try to live a normal life. So for me, this artwork is more of a showing how difficult an organism or a brain or a human being always tries to evolve and to mutate to stay alive.
Yeah, and that's why we decided to create an interactive mapping to offer the possibility to reconnect with each other, with interaction, with some fun, and we choose this device because of the history of Cluj, about this big laser, this kind of mythologic laser, and that's why we just choose this interface to interact with the visuals. And that's it.
For me also the term infection is like if you take the term infection out of the medical context, it can also mean for me inspiration, or it's like some external alien force coming into an organism, and so it's kind of also the content that we used is we filmed some architecture that has nothing to do with the architecture of the place. So it's more like a brutalist architecture in the content, which kind of infects the more classic architecture here, and the people with the lasers also infect the performance, the installation and the facade. So I see the word infection in its broadest sense.
I think it was very easy, and we connected more than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So I didn't ever really think about that. We just stayed there and did our work, not really perceiving it as work.
Yeah, and our nationality doesn't matter, in fact. It's matter just to do some joke and about our culture, and that's it, finally. To share the Romanian culture, the French culture, and German culture, and to...
Yeah, and because all of us have already been at Clujotronic more than once, so we are kind of really used to this idea to just take this short time that we have here and do something together. So for me also, it took 2 minutes, and then we were already knowing kind of how to work together.
Like it was 4 years ago.
Inspiring or infecting each other with ideas and things like that.
And each one is a kind of specialist in his own medium, like Alex for the sound, Flux for video and sampling and fine footage, and for me the interactions. So
perfect match.
Yeah.
What I really loved that was, I think, the next day after we all met, the first time that we put sound underneath the layers, and this artwork was living by itself, taking information from all the inputs, and even apparently it was the same, because every footage changed a bit. It also changed the artwork, and that was not even when so even without the lasers. And then again, you have the input from the public, that they can also manipulate the artwork by themselves. So for me, this is also nice, because I said to myself, okay, so this can be like that, and we don't even need lasers. But then again, we are society, so why not?
And that's great
Why-
kind of organism.
Yes, why not come
Life
into
organism.
communication, so, or at least have the possibility to give everyone the possibility to communicate in a certain manner with it.
Yeah, and I mean the same way as it's for us. It's not a finished product that we all planned over months and months. It's really more about the process of creating it, and the process also continues throughout the festival. So with all the feedback that we got from the audience and the ideas that we had from just seeing the audience interact, today we are already back in the process and changing it a bit. So it's a really like you said, an organism that shape shifts
It's work in
throughout the
progress.
festival.
I'm gonna try to
I
continue and to.
I heard this from 𝗏𝗃, and I was really flattered that he sees future in making this project grow, actually.
Yeah, I mean now the organism is alive and we are kind of
Yeah, I think the
it's
next
bigger than us.
the next
so,
step would be some AI algorithm, so scraping some information from
I think
Facebook
we are at the
accounts.
first step of the project.
Yeah, it's just yeah.
We experiment different things, like in a laboratory, and we have to continue and to see what's happened in the future.
For me, it was a very big thing because I was just leaving a profession I loved, but then was fed up with behind. So I was an actor, and I think Clujotronic for me was the first gig that I had in a professional domain that I really liked. So it wasn't about music; it just was about performance and contemporary art. So I got very connected to everybody here, but mostly the fact that it's in Romania back then there wasn't so many possibility to express yourself and experiment with this blurred line of technology and art. And I didn't know it then, but through the process of creating the things that we did, it became even clearer for me what I would like to do. So every year when I came, I actually learned a lot of stuff from interaction art to video art that I didn't know nothing about until I think our second meeting, because at the first I wasn't curious because I was just with the music. But it was a very creative workflow, and I always had a big input that I would have to process maybe a year after a few days here.
Yeah, for me, the experience with Clujotronic is quite huge because we met a lot of people since the first edition when I was there, and we make a lot of connection and continue to make new connection and continue to work with some or to share some idea with some artists we met there, and I invite like artists in France, and it's also about the city because the city is really nice, and there are a lot of possibility for the connection. But my point of view, maybe it's a bit not true because I'm not from Cluj, but and I'm not a Romanian. But
You were asking how the festival evolved for us, right? Like for me, Clujotronic seems like it's also growing up. It becomes bigger and bigger. In the first edition that I was here felt more underground and new, and now we are playing in the courtyard of the art museum, so it's already has become an institution. And personally, when I came for the first time, when I was invited to do something with Alex, what intrigued me was this idea of throwing two artists that have never been together and then let them create something in 3 days. Because for me, like location-based performances have always been important. So it was really exactly what I wanted, but I didn't really know how it would be. And actually, it inspired me a lot the first time I was here to do this more often. Like this idea of really doing something with an artist that I had never met before was very intriguing, and in a place I've never been before.
It's actually similar to our concept here, because even this artwork communicates through all the layers.
Yeah.
And when we worked the first time, we had nothing. So it was just a bouncing around of information, and it got hilariously quickly to something very big.
Yeah. And now it somehow feels for me the same way. Like the way it inspired me in the first time to do something new, which I then did over several years, also with other people outside of Clujotronic, is after the pandemic, after over 1 year where I didn't do any video art simply because there was no opportunity, and also it really didn't feel like it. Now it kind of called me back into it felt almost like in 2014 when I was first time here to finally create something great again, and then also meet the two guys that I had met before. It was great. It was great.
Question.
This is like this question is like a maze, because you can only hope to do stuff that you want to do. But I learned in this pandemic not to hope on such levels. So I try to combine my personal life so that it stays rich and safe with my ambitions as an artist, and try to make less but better. So I stay. So I stay creative and not get destroyed by this feeling of trying to overlive the pandemic and die trying, because it really felt like this in the first year, that there isn't much more you can try. But it was good. I came good out of it, and I've gotten very creative in lockdown. So now my hopes are that it's gonna evolve in a way that maybe I'm gonna not get so influenced and broken down by this whole pandemic and whatever comes with it, which is a lot.
Yeah, it's hard to plan things anyway, and considering the last year, when the pandemic hit, my 15 years career of being like a professional video artist stopped from one day to another, and I was forced to find some other way of earning my income. But in a way, it liberated me also, because doing art stopped being a job, and now I can kind of approach doing art again like I did in the very beginning when I started doing art, as just like a passion that I do because I want to do art. And I'm kind of thankful to Clujotronic also for inviting me again, because it really gave me this like kick to finally consider doing this again, instead of sitting at home and being sad about my career having ended and never doing art again or something like that. So I kind of feel really refreshed, and I have the feeling that despite the difficult times and the less money that you can earn with art, that a lot of people went through this process of really starting to think not in terms of survival, but what do I actually want with my life? If everything is so fragile, what do I really want to do? And yeah, I can feel it in me, and I'm just trying to follow that and see where it takes me.
To me, it's difficult. It was really strange, this pandemic. Everything stopped, as you say. but finally I'm always in kind of stress to create and to create and to create, and finally it was good for me to take some time with my family and to take care of my family, of course to work and to apply to many open call and to write some paper and to create also, but now on this period it's a bit busy period, because there is this moment where things are starting to go, and we don't know when it will stop. And yeah, we are always in this kind of I don't know in English, épée de Damoclès, you have this
the sword of Damocles
yeah
above us. Yeah,
Yeah, it feels a bit like this.
yeah, it's true.